Hi everyone, welcome to Bingo Learning. My name is Eva and today we're going to be looking at Read Aloud, one of the task types from the PTE speaking exam. Before I begin today, I just wanted to say that if there are any terms, so any vocabulary that I am using that you don't understand, go back and watch the first video where I walk you through some of the key terms that I'll be using to help us with achieving a good result for our Read Aloud task type. So let's get down to it. This is the Read Aloud text that we're going to be working with today. Now you all remember that for Read Aloud, we're always given the same amount of time to read through the text and prepare as we are to speak. So generally speaking, the more difficult or the longer the text is, the longer we get to prepare and speak. So in our preparation time today, I want us to go through some of the words that might be difficult for you and also go through where we need to be pausing and which words we need to be stressing within the sentence. So let's go through some of those challenging words first of all. This word here, immense. Some of you may not know what the word immense means. However, it's quite easy to pronounce. It's pretty much phonetic. We just have the two syllables, immense, and what it means is large or enormous. Next to this word, we have this word disparity. A lot of you will have never seen the word disparity before. However, similarly to immense, even if you haven't seen it before, it's very easy to pronounce. So this won't be a problem for you in Read Aloud. We only have 4 syllables here, and they're all quite simple. Disparity. Disparity. So the second syllable is the one that we emphasize there. Disparity. The word disparity means distance, gap, or difference. So here we're speaking about the disparity between the country's productive capacity and the ability of people to consume. So the word here is highlighting that there's some kind of gap, discord, or difference between those two things. The word disparity is often matched in a collocation with the word between because we're speaking about the disparity or the gap between two things. Capacity is also perhaps an unfamiliar word. The word capacity here, in terms of when we're speaking about the productive capacity of a country, means the ability or the propensity here, okay? So how much the country is able to do. Capacity is again a word where we emphasize the second syllable there, capacity. Innovation. You may not have seen this word before either. Innovation. It's 4 syllables. And we emphasize the third syllable here, innovation. The word innovation, you might notice, is quite similar to the word invention, and the definitions are quite similar as well. If we're going to speak about innovation, then we're speaking about new ideas and new thinking, okay? So, for instance, if we were going to put it in a different sentence, in the 21st century, there have been great innovations in technology, okay? If we're going to go through some other perhaps unfamiliar words, then techniques might be a difficult one here. A technique, which is also quite difficult to pronounce, technique, only 2 syllables there, despite the fact it's a relatively long word, okay? refers to the method by which we do something. So there are different techniques to learn pronunciation, for instance, different methods, different ways to go about learning pronunciation could be another context we would hear that word in. So now that we've gone through some of those difficult words, I'm going to speak about where I want us to be pausing here. So I'm just going to use yellow for pausing. So without pausing initially, let's look at where exactly our punctuation is. So we have a full stop at the end of consume, and we have a full stop at the end of the final sentence, at the end of earners. So there aren't any commas within the sentences here. This does not mean that the only points at which we stop or pause are at the end of those sentences, however. We need to separate these sentences into clauses to figure out where else we need to pause. If you come to our classes, we'll go through some more techniques and tips and tricks to figure out exactly where we need to be pausing, but for now I'm going to put those pauses in for you. The core of the problem, pause, was the immense disparity, pause, between the country's productive capacity, pause, and the ability of people to consume, pause. Great innovations in productive techniques, pause, during and after the war, pause, raise the output of industry, pause, beyond the purchasing capacity, pause, of US farmers and earners, pause. Excuse me. So now that we have our pauses in there and we have stretched out and figured out the definitions of some of those unfamiliar words, it's time for us to find which words we need to be emphasizing within the sentence. I'm going to use green for this here. So if we're speaking about the core of a problem, it means the center, okay? So this could be a very useful word for us to emphasize here. The core of the problem was the immense disparity. I want us to emphasize those two words there because of, as I was saying before, immense means huge or enormous. It's quite a dramatic or strong word. It's functioning as an adjective here. So I want us to emphasize that as well as disparity. I want us to emphasize productive capacity because that's 1/2 of the comparison being made here. And I want us to emphasize ability and consume because that's the other half of the comparison. I want us to emphasize productive techniques. I want us to emphasize raised. I want us to emphasize beyond. I want us to emphasize purchasing capacity. And I want us to emphasize this last word here, earners. Now we're ready to read aloud. The core of the problem was the immense disparity between the country's productive capacity and the ability of people to consume. Great innovations in productive techniques during and after the war raised the output of industry beyond the purchasing capacity of US farmers and earners. Thank you for joining us for our Read Aloud short video. Please tune in next time.